Blog Talk Radio.
The purple angel, oh purple angel, you're next to me. Purple angel, oh purple angel, you're next to me. You're next to me. You're next to me.
Well, hi, everyone. This is Lori LeBay, the host and founder of Alzheimer Speaks, and you are listening to Alzheimer Speaks Radio today. We are on a different day. Normally, we broadcast on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. Central Time, but today, due to schedules, we are doing a Monday show, and this is live, so feel free to call in and join us if you'd like. You can always use the chat box as well. We would love to hear what you have to say and answer any questions that you may have. For those of you that are new to Alzheimer Speaks Radio, I just want to give you a little background and information about who we are and why we do what we do. Bottom line is my mom had dementia for 30 years, and it was a life-changing experience for me, one that made me feel really strongly that we needed to do things in a different fashion. And so I started Alzheimer Speaks as a blog just to talk about, my feelings as a care partner for my mom, family issues, and resources that I found. From there, it grew to a website and just kept growing. So now we have the radio show, we do webinars, and I speak all around the country on dementia. I think it's really important that we raise everyone's voice and that we disseminate all the information and tools that are out there that can help people. Absolutely critical at its core once dementia touches your family. We know that by joining forces and just sharing these everyday conversations that we have here on Alzheimer Speaks, that we can really shift what it's like to live with life with dementia. Not only can we help remove stigmas attached to memory loss and help those living with the disease live with purpose, but together we can also help people understand the true needs and the massiveness of this disease and how it affects not only the person with dementia and those that care for them, but our society at large. We can help remove the fear and get rid of the isolation that so many are suffering with. At our core, Alzheimer Speaks believes that collaboration is the only way that we're going to win this battle. And I know it's working because of all of your likes and clicks that you're sharing. Because of you, we were named the #1 influencer online regarding Alzheimer's by ShareCare, which is the largest health and wellness website, and Dr. Oz. And again, that would not have happened without all of your help. So I really have to applaud each of you for all your likes and shares. When you pass information on about this disease, knowing it or not, you are increasing awareness. You're making information available to those in your circle that you might not know have even been touched by this disease, because we don't talk about this disease. It's kind of a little taboo issue. And so the more information we can get out to people, the more likely they're going to tap into it when the time is right for them, when they're comfortable. So we'd love you to join the conversation today, and you can do that by dialing in at 714-364-4757. Again, that's 714-364-4757. Or you can utilize the chat box and type in a question or a comment. I'll be checking that throughout the show. Now, before I introduce our guest today, who I'm very excited to have with us, they've got some cool technology that they've developed. I'd like to always give a shout out to some of my favorite organizations. And I have to apologize. I'm still getting over this virus here, so my throat is kind of coming and going a little bit, so bear with me. The Purple Angel Project, which was started by Norms McNamara over in the UK and Jane Moore, is now in over 17 countries. And this is the new global symbol for dementia. It costs no money, takes very little time, and has a huge effect. So if you're interested in that, and if you're here in the U.S., go to alzheimersspeaks.com, click on our About page, and you'll see a tab for the Purple Angel. We would love you to join the cause. Many people dealing with Alzheimer's disease are looking for an association in their area, and I recommend going to Alzheimer's Disease International. Not only will they be able to find you the closest location to you, they're going to have global research and statistics for you as well, because ADI, or Alzheimer's Disease International, is the association of all the associations around the world. If you're here locally in Minnesota, I give a big shout out to Health Star Home Health, absolutely fabulous home care organization. Love their philosophy, their people, their staff have been trained as Alzheimer's Whisperers. They truly do get this market. Another organization you might want to check into is Rock with Dementia by Wayne Mesker. And this is something they started just this last fall, where they had a lot of concerts around the world, and they're hoping to expand that even more to raise not only awareness but maybe some funding for dementia. And then there is a new study out, clinical study, that some people might want to check into. You can go to alzheimersstudy.com, or if you don't want to write that down, just go to my homepage, and right at the top you'll see a big button there that you can go to, a big graphic, and you can click and see if you qualify for the study. This study is for Alzheimer's patients that are in the moderate stage. So see if you qualify for these research studies. Know that there is no insurance that is needed for this, and it might be something that could really change not only your loved one's life, but people affected in the future. We really need people to sign up for these studies if we're going to find a cure for this disease. The Alzheimer's Dementia Action Alliance is a fairly new organization here in the U.S. too, that I would encourage people to check out. And their website is www.daa, for Dementia Action Alliance Now, daanow.org. Again, you'll find great information there. They really want to change how the U.S. deals with dementia and help people become more friendly and suitable to support those dealing with this disease. Also want to give a shout out to Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. They come as a more holistic approach. So if you're looking at diet, exercise, meditation, that would be a great place to go. And then many people are dealing with a variety of types of dementia. Last I heard, there's over 200 types, but the most common are Alzheimer's, which again, you can go to Alzheimer's Disease International, or Lewy body dementia, or frontal temporal lobe. You hear a lot about. Each of those has their own national organization, and they can help you with specific symptoms and support services for those diseases. And then the National Aphasia Association works more with speech and word loss and things associated with speech. And so I would recommend, if anyone's having any of those types of problems, check out the National Aphasia Association. Last, I just want to point out a couple of more social engagement organizations. One is called Alzheimer's Music Connect. I'm a big believer in the power of music with dementia, and they have a patent-pending technology which helps people engage up to 3 hours more after listening to their music. Also, Puzzle with Me and Jiminy Wicket are both some social games that people can engage with. So Puzzle with Me is exactly what it says. It's puzzles that are specifically designed for adults with dementia. And Jiminy Wicket is a adaptive croquet game, which is really fun. I've actually played that. It's been a lot of fun. So let me go and introduce our guests today. Very excited to have these two men with us. First, I'm going to introduce Sohan Japa, and he is the co-founder and the leading business development manager of their operations. Prior to joining Droplet, which is a really cool product we're going to be talking about today, Sohan spent almost a decade in product development and healthcare. He met his teammate while working at the medical device startup, and then they later went on to complete his MBA from Stanford Graduate School of Business. And he spent 2 years as a consultant at McKinsey and IDEO, and he has completed 4 years of medical school at Stanford. So brilliant man who is doing some really, really cool things. So Sohan, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thanks, Lori, for having us. We're excited to be here and talk about Droplet.
Well, good. I'm going to go ahead and introduce your co-partner here and co-founder, Joshua Newth, and he is the leading engineering and product development manager with Droplet. And Josh has over 15 years of experience developing hardware and software for medical devices and consumer electronics. Josh received his BS and MS degrees in mechanical engineering at Stanford and another MS in computer science from SJSU. When he's not debugging code and soldering prototypes together or studying for his geometry, he runs marathons and he does some kiteboards in the San Francisco Bay, which is always very fun. So welcome, Joshua. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing well and very excited to be here.
Well, I was just fascinated with your product here, and so I'm really excited to have you guys on and to talk about what it is you're doing and how this could benefit the dementia industry as a whole and caregivers. But even broader than that, I mean, just about anybody in the world at any age could benefit from this product, which I think is even better. But before I go into some of the questions regarding Droplet, I just always like to ask our guests if they have ever been touched personally by a family or friend member with dementia. And Sohan, I'm going to throw that to you first and just let us know, has that ever been an issue for someone you know?
So not personally. While I was in med school, it's a very common condition, and so I have taken care of patients with varying stages of Alzheimer's.
Okay, great. How about you, Joshua? Have you been personally touched by dementia at all?
My grandmother, who passed away many years ago, towards the end of her life, she had a very long and rich life, but she was she had a bit of dementia when she went. But yeah, we didn't, she was in an assisted living situation, so we didn't have to manage her ourselves. So but it was very difficult.
Okay. Yeah, it's a challenging disease for so many families and one that is growing, and we're just hearing these numbers rising and more individuals dealing with this with the symptoms as a whole. Joshua, can you tell us where did the inspiration for Droplet come from?
Sure. Well, I think we've all been in the situation of having to remember medication or various household chores, and I think we've also all been in the situation of forgetting to do them or just wishing that there was a more effective reminder system. And that was probably the real seed of the idea, was how do we make a better reminder system? Once we started really exploring that problem, we realized that it could be used probably most seriously and most effectively for treating, for helping people with their medication.
Okay. Anything that you'd like to add to that, Sohan?
Yeah, I think, we, as Joshua was saying, we started out with something that was very basic, kind of a problem that a lot of people have, right? I think something like 3 out of 4 Americans are on prescription meds. And then if you include everyone that's taking some sort of vitamin or supplement, that number's even higher. And, we started there, and I think the team has this medical background, and that's where our passion, kind of starts from. And we were just so kind of surprised by the response we got from people saying, we could use this for so many other things. And so over that time, the products really evolved to be both a reminder device and sort of this internet-connected button that you can really use for anything. And we still are getting folks coming to us with sort of new ideas on how to use it. So just being there for that process has been very humbling and eye-opening for us.
Okay, I can imagine lots of feedback when you're trying to pull something like this together, especially when it appears to be such an easy process. Can you tell us, and I'll throw this to Sohan, can you tell us how does the system work? Because it looks, it's got a sleek design, it's cute, and it looks very easy to be able to utilize. So can you explain to our audience a little bit about how the system works? How do they set it up?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the key word there, Lori, was easy. So we've really taken a lot of time and effort to try to make it just super simple, very intuitive. So the way it works is there's 3 basic components, right? So we've got the droplets, which are the buttons. There's a smart hub that you plug into any electrical outlet. And then there's a smartphone component. So let's say you're trying to keep track of your daily vitamins, right? I take one of the droplets, I attach it to my bottle, and most days I'm pretty good. So, I take my vitamin in the morning, and then I just tap Droplet, and that tap gets recorded through the Smart Hub and then gets recorded onto our secure servers. And let's say there's a day that I forget, right? So I obviously don't go to my bottle, and I don't tap Droplet. So the system knows that, hey, we didn't recognize the tap today. He must have missed his medication. And so then it sends a notification to our smartphone saying, hey, Sohan, you've missed your vitamin today. And so it's a pretty basic system. And the other key thing here is you actually don't need a smartphone. So you could set this up such that the reminder is actually a phone call through a landline. So obviously the, great example of this would be, let's say you had a grandma that you wanted to set this up for. You could go to her house, set the system up, and, all she has to do is every time she takes her medication, she just taps on Droplet. And then you as the caregiver would get the notification if she missed. And you could also set it up that she gets a phone call if she misses. So again, the system is very easy to use, very easy to set up, and you can use this for a number of things. Obviously, the biggest one is medication or vitamins. Okay.
Now, with this, one of the problems and one of the solutions, with people with dementia can be taking their medications in a timely fashion. A lot of times, care partners will say, I've put them out on the counter. I've got a note next to them, and I'll call them. I'll ask them to take their pills. They'll say they have, and then I come home and I see that they're still on the counter. I'm assuming with this that they could get some false readings if a person pushed it and still didn't take their pill. I would imagine that could be the case, but it could also be a great connector for a person to feel relieved that they have indeed taken their pills. A lot's just going to depend on how far somebody is down the process with this disease. Is that correct?
Yeah, you hit on an important point, which is that unless we're physically standing there monitoring somebody else taking pills, it's very hard to ensure that they're taking their medication. But what the device that we're making is it's going to help people who are trying to take medication, who want to remember, or who are actively engaged with their own health. It's not a perfect system, because you're absolutely right. There's a person could press the button and not take their medication, but it means that rather than just sort of saying, oh, well, I forgot, or I just didn't remember today, the person would actually have just needed to commit to lying. So it sort of ups the stakes of taking the medication. But it is, there's no perfect system. Even my mother works in rest homes in New Zealand, and she says that some of the people in her care will, even when she is standing there, will do what they can to avoid the medication. So it's not a perfect system, and I think that should be understood. But it is better than, say, leaving a Post-it note sitting on the counter next to a bunch of pills and not having any system of knowing when somebody has even looked at the pills that day.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a really good point that you made, that even when you give somebody a pill in person, they can pocket the pill and spit it out later. All that kind of stuff can still happen. The next, I think, the trackability, because sometimes we forget to make ourselves a note, and this is all documented, and so and I mean, you can still go back and check, but then you can say, okay, they've pushed the button, the pill is still there, and you'll be able to see maybe how many times that's happened, and be able to give that information to the doctor in a simple format. Is that correct? Does it track it every time, so you can go back and look at a history, or did I miss something there?
Exactly. So our app records every time you successfully tap Droplet. So, again, let's say you're taking, a diabetic medication, just as an example, you will have a record of all the days that you've successfully taken it. And that's great information for a healthcare provider who's, trying to make sure that you're sort of hitting your health targets. So absolutely, that is something that we've created and that's in the system currently.
Okay, so that would be a huge help to both family and the doctors and professionals at large, because then you can show patterns. Because most of us are so busy, it's difficult to document, or if we document, it's a sticky pad here and a notebook over here, and doesn't always get in the same spot. So I would think that would really, really be helpful. Another place that this could be used is even, in the bathroom, because people worry about, are they voiding or are they eating? Did they go get their lunch out of the refrigerator or wherever? Now, I have a kind of a silly question, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm assuming that this has to kind of stay in a normal temperature control, so you couldn't put it, let's say, on a Tupperware container in the refrigerator that they pulled out. It would have to be on the outside of the refrigerator. Is that a correct assumption?
That's not a silly question at all, but you're right. There are some limitations to the system. So this device it's actually very small. It's about the size of an American quarter. It is battery powered, and batteries really don't like really cold temperatures. So it would work better on the outside of the fridge. I'm not 100% certain that it wouldn't work if you put it in the fridge, but yeah, we're not recommending people do that.
Well, in chances,
I did want to mention about the tracking. About the tracking behaviors. There's with medication and repeated tasks, there's often times when we've done a thing so many times that our brains aren't very good at forming new memories of that. So, for example, my wife takes her prenatal vitamin every day, and she she's done it so many times that now she doesn't actually remember. So she'll take the pill, and then 15 seconds later she'll wonder if she's taken it. And so if you have a running record like our system provides, then you can always look back and look at not only your sort of month-long history or your year-long history of taking medication, but also like 30 seconds ago history of, did I actually do this task? So
which makes a lot of sense. There's so many different variables. We can talk about how the person with dementia could use this, which would need to be more in the earlier stages, needless to say, but also for the care partner, just to say, I've done that, I've got a recording, this is the time, this is the date, and it could be all kinds of things, from medications to bathing to doing the laundry, going grocery shopping, taking out the garbage, doing the bills. It's really endless in terms of the types of uses. Maybe it's even for going for a walk, if just to be healthy, and making sure things are moving around, or checking the mail. Lots of different ways to be able to track movement and tasks and just kind of life in general, because things are so busy these days. It's hard to keep up with all the things that we're supposed to do, and how we're supposed to do them, or when we're supposed to do them. Have you had people kind of test this out and gotten any feedback on the prototypes? I know you're just in the process of kind of doing the Kickstarter program to really launch this, but have you done any test markets with this, Sohan?
Yeah, we have a number of demo units out in the field currently, and I have one unit in my house actually, and I use it for my daily vitamins. And it's interesting because before I had the system, I would have my vitamins sitting on my dresser, and I literally would see it every day, but I would still sometimes forget, right? And once I started using the system, it would, those days I would forget, it would send me a reminder. And so since then, I've been just a lot more consistent with it. And I think one piece of feedback we have gotten, which I think is a great idea and is at the top of our implementation list, is basically sort of the option to having like a little bit of a snooze feature. So let's say I've forgotten my medication, I would keep getting notifications until I've gone up to the button and pressed it, right?
Okay.
And so that way it just holds you accountable, right? Because if you're going to get up to go hit the button, at that point you're going to take the pill or the vitamin anyway. So that's something we've heard and we're working on integrating.
Okay. One other question. I know that, let's say you have pushed the button or you haven't pushed the button. Do you have to go to the smartphone or a computer to check that, or is there anything on the device that lets you look at it immediately so you can know that you've fulfilled that requirement for the day?
There's the way the system works is that you only need the smartphone just to set it up, to give it the in-home Wi-Fi information, but the reminders can come through any which way you want. So most of the smarts of the Droplet system are actually online. So that means if you want to, you can get the reminders, as Sohan mentioned, you can get the reminders as the pre-recorded phone call on your landline. But it also means that you can access your data. You can look at everything that's happening on the system through the web page. So, yeah, we thought that this device would be really appropriate for a large number of people who don't have smartphones, or maybe just don't even like using their smartphones. So we wanted to make sure that everyone could access the system and configure the system in different ways. So we pushed hard to make it so that you don't need a smartphone to use it. You could just go to a web page and look at the data that way.
Okay.
Yep. And just to add to that, there's actually a light that lights up every time you press it. So there's a visual confirmation every time you tap it, saying, "Hey, we register, we sense you tapping us. Everything's okay." So there's also that.
Okay, so let's say if your wife went to take her prenatals, she could look and the light would be lit so she would know, or does that go off after a period of time, I would imagine, to not wear the battery down, or?
Oh, I see. Yeah, the way that currently, you hit it right on the head. We can do that. The hardware is built to support that, but it has implications for battery life. So we think people who really want the device to last for as long as possible, which is currently a little over a year, they'll probably not use that. They'll instead choose to get the reminders through the voice call or through a text message or something. But it is possible, and we think that a number of people have been asking for the LED to blink when it's time to do the activity. And so that's something we'll support, but it does have the caveat of, as you said, it will wear down the battery faster.
Okay, which makes sense. Yeah, you just see everyone, likes their notifications a little bit different and tweaking them, so you never know. The other thing I was thinking about, when I had mentioned about could you put it on a Tupperware, in the refrigerator, but that probably wouldn't be a good idea because that Tupperware could easily go into the microwave, and that wouldn't be good, so on multiple levels there. So yeah, making sure where you have your device located is definitely an important piece. I like that it can make a call to a phone. Is it? Can you give us an example? Let's say if you had, if it was for medications, what would the phone call say to somebody for notification?
So the beauty here is you have, again, flexibility. So the way we imagine it is a pre-recorded message. Let's say, you have a grandma. You could, as the caregiver, you could just have a standard message that you pre-record ahead of time saying, "Hey, Grandma, just friendly reminder. It sounds like you may have forgotten today. Remember to take your medication." And then that way, every time she forgets, she gets this warm, friendly sort of greeting. We can also do sort of a standard message from our end, but we imagine most people will want that pre-recorded message option since it's just more friendly.
Oh, that's really nice. I think that especially in the world of caregiving, it just is so much more personalized, and I think that would be really, really well received. How long does it take to set this up? If you set it up by a smartphone or if you set it up by your computer, what type of time frame would it take somebody to actually set up? And I would imagine that's going to depend on how many devices they set up as well.
Actually, again, we wanted this system to really help both people taking medication, but also their caregivers. So we wanted to make it as simple as possible. The only part of the system that currently requires the smartphone is the initial configuration. So, for example, let's say I was setting this up in someone else's home. I would bring it over. I would plug the smart hub into the wall, and then through the smartphone app, I give it the Wi-Fi password and network name. That process takes about 15 seconds, and then at that point, the smart hub knows how to send messages over the internet. So at that point, you don't need the smartphone anymore. The droplets can just create a message, they send it to the smart hub, and then the smart hub passes it out to the network, which is and then our servers, our computers on the internet will send you the reminders from there. So the smartphone, the configuration of the system is very brief. Adding a new droplet is a snap. It's actually no time at all. You will either there are a number of different ways, but essentially you'll get a new droplet, you'll open it up out of the packet, and you'll input the serial either by scanning or just using the smartphone to talk to it. And then suddenly that droplet is now connected to your account. But again, the system is meant to be infinitely expandable, so it's very quick to add new droplets.
Okay. And can you set notifications to go up to more than one person? So, or for more than one person to maybe review it would be a better route. So You've got a droplet, let's say, on a pill bottle. We'll just use that as an example. Could that information be shared with a whole family base so everybody can be accessing the information to that droplet routine? Let's say if it is for a parent and the adult children are all wanting to monitor that together. Is that possible?
Absolutely. One cool sort of example of this is kids and chores, right? So let's say you have, a pet goldfish. You could actually set it up such that, if your kid forgets to do something, that notification gets shared with the parent. Or the example that you just painted, which is, let's say you're an independent person for the most part, but you do want to share your notifications with your adult child. You can set it up to share notifications. The other sort of last example would be, I know that, for certain routines, like my exercise routines, I love sort of having what I call an accountability buddy. And so you can actually set up the system such that if I miss certain routines, like, kind of drinking a protein smoothie every day or something like that, I can actually have it set up so that a friend gets notified, and then that friend can give me a talking if I'm missing too many times in a row. So that whole social aspect is actually a big component of the system.
Okay. Well, very neat. Very neat. I'm just wondering, do you have other advice for maybe how caregivers can use this to help people that they're caring for? Other examples at all that you wanted to share?
Yeah. I think, we've talked through a number of use cases. I think medications is a key one. As you mentioned, any other activity of daily living, such as bathing or taking out the trash, if they have pets, any sort of pet-related responsibility. Really, like, you could have 10 of these sort of set up throughout the house, and it can be a powerful way to sort of promote independence, but also allow the caregiver to just keep a watchful eye to just make sure that everything is getting done and that the person's doing well.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to add to that. When we were developing this, we were starting to think, we could do, keep track of our vitamins, medication, that sort of thing. But a friend of mine pointed out that, so his mother has somewhat limited mobility, and he said if this works in the home and you can put droplets anywhere, then you can use it sort of in the manner of not a panic button, but like a way to let people know that you're okay in the house, or maybe alternatively to let people know that you need some help. So for example, you could set up the droplets around the house or carry one in your pocket and press it and then as Sohan said, you can share the data. So that button press that could notify whoever you want, really. So it could be used in the house in a similar manner to the I think they're called life alerts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that would be great. Now the thing with like the life alerts, there's a cost, typically a monthly fee for that. Is there a monthly fee to stay connected to this, or is this a one-time charge for the products? How does that work, Sohan?
So there's no monthly fee. So it's just the one-time purchase when you buy the system. So
that's going to make people happy.
Exactly. Yeah, and the other really cool thing that maybe we haven't touched upon is just the fact that it's an internet-connected button, and so you can actually automate a number of features. For example, you could auto-text someone. You could have a dedicated button that sort of sends a loved one a message saying, hey, I'm on my way home, or, I just checking in. And so you could have a button dedicated to that. And so you can imagine, like, someone using this maybe in their office to text their loved one just saying, I'm coming home. And really, you can, again, there's endless possibilities here, because whatever you can do online, you will eventually be able to set it up such that by pressing Droplet, that online action gets initiated. Mm-hmm. So down the line, for example, you'll be able to reorder certain products from online retailers. The example we always talk about is something like toilet paper. That's something you never want to be caught without. So imagine a button in the pantry where you would just tap Droplet and the next order of toilet paper gets automatically set up for you.
Okay. One of the things when you were talking about other uses that just hit me that I think would be really nice, and I've seen products out there like this that just do this, but your product does so much more, is to even have a routine call to somebody. I just think of myself right now traveling and stuff, and if my mom was still alive and maybe I couldn't call her at night to say good night, I could at least send her a message and saying, Mom, I'm busy working, but I'm always thinking about you and just want to say have a great evening or something, and love you, boom. And just so she would hear my voice, and just to be able to have that connection to let them know that you're thinking of them, or a reminder for a person with dementia that, I'll be home at 5:00, for dinner, or, whatever it might be. But just being able to set up maybe even those gentle reminders during the day that you're not alone. Even if you are alone, you're not alone. I'm still there and caring for you and thinking of you. I think that could possibly give some people some calmness, and again, depending on where the disease is, it's going to vary, because it might agitate somebody because they might want to be talking back to you and not understand that it's a message. And so I think you'd have to be clear in that up front and at the end, that this is a message type deal. But just another use that might be possible for some families and friends. The other thing that I like about this is, I'm very much about looking at our similarities instead of our differences when it comes to disease. And this is something everybody could use. So let's say you're a sandwich generation, you're caring for your parents, and yet you've got young kids at home. I mean, you could set Droplets up for, your little guy to make his bed every day, or to pick up his dirty clothes and put them in the laundry, or brush his teeth, or whatever it might be. And then it makes it more normal. It's not that I have to have this button because I'm ill or something's wrong, but it's just helping me manage life. And I think that's a really strong statement to be said, and I think it's something that people, especially with chronic illnesses, want to feel. I hear that from them all the time. I don't want to be different. I want to be able to. I want people to see me for who I am, not the disease that happens to be part of me. And when you can utilize something over a wider platform, sometimes it's easier to get somebody who is ill or has a chronic illness to utilize something when it's not seen just for an illness. You have to do this to help me manage you. It's more of an independence factor, and something that everybody is using to manage their life. Does that make sense, Joshua?
Yeah.
To you? How about you, Sohan?
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think, Lori, that's a really important point, is taking away sort of the stigma associated with certain products or certain activities. And that was something that was really important to us when we started developing this. We wanted something that was available for everyone and that should be used by anyone. And I think we've done that, and I use it for my vitamins. We have other teammates that use it for feeding the fish, and we think about this as a consumer product, actually, more than a medical product. So I think your point is well taken. It's an important one.
Yeah.
Just if I could add to that.
Sure.
Yeah, the device. When we started out, certainly we had medication reminders foremost in our mind, but it's really been through showing the product to other people that we've realized that we can do other things with it, and that has informed the design. I mean, I think we've all seen. Sohan and I both come from the medical device industry, and we've seen chunky, gross medical devices and things that look, they look out of place in the home. They sort of announce to the world, "Oh, I'm sick. I'm unwell," and we wanted to get away with that. So that we tried to make them really nice, simple, unobtrusive, not hard on the eyes, that sort of thing. So, we'd like this to be a device that everyone can use and everyone would enjoy to have in their home.
Yeah, I could see this being used, like I said, with kids, and just, sometimes you go through challenges with, maybe it's chores or maybe it's a behavior mod program, but just boom, homework's done, and again, being able to just help them organize and track, because a lot of times I think kids don't always track, and as adults that can carry over to us too, if we're ADHD or whatever, but help us stay focused. And when people can see kind of a track record that really doesn't take any time to do other than to push a button, I think sometimes it's easier to for people to logic and feel the need and see the need for change and routine, to set up patterns and stuff. So I think that's really a cool advantage with something like this as well. One of the things people with dementia say all the time is life is easier for them typically when it stays routine. And so if it's 3 o'clock every day, they have to take a pill, or they're taking the garbage out, or they're cleaning the cat litter box out, or whatever it is, going for a walk. If it's kind of that same routine every day, they say for the most part it just makes their life a little bit easier with that. And so if this is started earlier on, as people are getting diagnosed, much earlier with this disease, that might be helpful. I mean, there's no guarantee with that, but it's worth a try. The problem, for most of us, is that we don't like to try something until a lot of times it's too late to embed it into our system as a routine. And when you're having cognition problems, the earlier the better with things like that. I know Mayo has kind of a habit program they call, and part of it is a calendar use of kind of building that routine. And I could see the Droplet being utilized to help people in building a routine as well, with that process.
That's a great point. Sorry. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. No, you really, again, hit it. The system is, the way that we describe it internally on the team is that it's a behavior modification tool. So a system that is helping you optimally, you'll never get a reminder from, because it will have helped you create those habits to get into the routine. Life is simpler for everyone when there's a routine, not just people who are taking medication regularly, or who maybe have early onset dementia. So the system works best when it's used to help you modify and create better habits, and part of that is just forming a routine, but part of that is getting timely reminders when you drift off routine, and then also being able to track your behavior to see that there has been gradual improvement, or to be able to identify those areas that cause disruptions in your routine. So if you're supposed to take a pill every day Tuesday afternoon, or let's say every afternoon, but you're always missing on Tuesday, the record will show that you always miss on Tuesday, and you'll be able to hopefully figure out what disrupts my behavior on Tuesday. Oh, that's the day that the garbage is taken, or that's the day the mailman shows up. So
which makes a lot of sense. Go ahead.
Yes, sorry. No, I was done.
I was just thinking, even like for myself, I sit at my desk a lot, because I'm on the computer constantly, and I need to get up and move around. And it's real, and I know that I need to do that, and I could put it on my phone to do that, but I don't, because I have these other things pending. But if I had that little reminder kind of bugging me with that snooze, like, get off your butt and go for a walk, Lori, or do some yoga, do something. Maybe that would prod me. And plus, having that tracking system of how often I'm breaking my own rule, type thing, bending it for whatever reason. I say it's a priority, but yet it's real clear I'm not making it a priority. Droplet might help keep people on track like that, which is, those types of things can be really important for caregivers as well, because we don't typically take time for ourselves. And that might just be a reminder of, hey, it's time for coffee with my friends, or I'm going to go read a book. I need to get rejuvenated. It's okay for me to breathe, and get refilled on however I need to do that. Would be an interesting way to log that too, because usually that's so low on people's lists of what to do. And if you can get other things in your life more orchestrated and, like you said, in a routine, that will ease the burden and the stress level that you're carrying. And again, care partners' stress level is so high. So I think there's so many different ways that Droplet can be used and really help people, live their lives better, and give them kind of a self-monitoring system that's not this sounds kind of goofy, but not a shameful one. A lot of monitoring systems, there's shame in, I didn't do this right, or I didn't, do that. And this just seems to be a nice, gentle reminder, and easily adjusted. So people can look at it and go, well, I said I was going to do it at 3, but really maybe 3 is just not a good time for me to do that, because there's all these reasons. So maybe I need to do this at 1, or maybe I need to do it at 7. To try to squeeze it in. And it sounds like it wouldn't be too difficult to change that time and still get the task done. And I think that's really a beautiful thing about your product and its abilities with that. So, gosh, we've almost been talking an hour here. Who would have thought, huh? It's always interesting when we start chatting on things, because there's just so much that comes to mind, when you look at all the different uses and things. Now, I know that you've got a Kickstarter program up right now. Sohan, can you tell people a little bit about how they can get involved? I know that you've got a great video up there that shows them, how it's used or how it can be used. And, you've got a deadline here to raise your funds. So you want to give people kind of an update on your Kickstarter program?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got 2 weeks left on our Kickstarter campaign, and we're very close to our goals. We would love support, whether it's through a pledge or just sharing on social media. And the best and fastest way to get to the Kickstarter site is if you just go to www.meetdroplet.com. It will redirect you to the Kickstarter page.
Okay, Meet Droplet. I like that. That was, who thought of that one? It's just a nice way to be able to remember that, and not too complicated. Was that something that Kickstarter?
We can't take credit for that. We can't take credit for that one. No, other people who are better at this gave us these ideas. If it was up to me, it would have been something horrible and forgettable. I did want to mention that if you're interested to getting involved, you can go to meetdroplet.com. The Kickstarter campaign is it's based on pledges, so people, if they like an idea, they can get behind it, give us a little bit of money as a pledge, and then if we get to our target goal, and we're pretty close to the target goal right now, then we say that we can ship the product. So it's an all or nothing game. So I don't know if your listeners are familiar with the Kickstarter system, but it's an interesting way for little companies like ours to raise a bit of money to get a new product out there. But yeah, it definitely depends on user support and people getting involved.
Okay, because there are some programs out there that even if you don't get your goal, you can still keep your money, but the product may never, come to fruition and stuff. So this one you're saying we either get
it's
it or we
nothing.
don't get it. Yep, and I really think that's the way to go. Yeah, and you guys are really nice and close, and so I wish you the best of luck with that. Now they can go to your website as well, which is dropletlife.com. Again, that's Droplet, DROPLET, and then life, LIFE.com, and get information there as well. And I just, like I said, I wish you guys the best of luck with this. Please keep us posted here at Alzheimer's Speaks on your outcome with Kickstarter and where you go from here. I just think I think your product just has so many uses that it's going to be interesting to watch in the future how people utilize this.
Definitely. And thank you so much, Lori, for having us. This has been really pleasurable.
Well, good.
Yes, thank you, Lori.
Good.
Thank you for all the kind words. Appreciate it.
Yep. Well, you guys have a wonderful day, and we will be in touch in the future. I can't wait to hear from you. Okay?
Great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye now. Well, what a neat product. Very excited that we were able to have the co-founders of Droplet on, Joshua Newth and Sohan Japa. Really a neat product. Again, if you have a chance, just go to dropletlife.com. That's DROPLET, Droplet, and then life, LIFE.com, where you'll be able to get more information on that product. Lots of uses for reminders and tracking. Really a pretty easy system to be able to use. I'm just going to throw out a few highlights for you. Our last show was Help for Struggling Caregivers with Michelle Chafee, who's developed an online caregiving tool, and that's going to be launching mid-May. Next week, we are going to have on author Maggie Latourell, who cared for her mom who had Alzheimer's, and she wrote the book, The Gift of Alzheimer's. And I'm really excited to have her on because the gift of Alzheimer's is not something that we normally hear, and I say that all the time. My mom's disease was probably the biggest gift I'll ever receive in my lifetime. Next Dementia Chats is going to be in a couple of weeks, the second Tuesday of the month. And our last one, which is recorded, all of them, go to our About page on AlzheimersSpeaks.com, and you can find all the past Dementia Chats. On that one, we discussed getting dementia aware and friendly, as well as our healthcare system. Lots of holes in our healthcare system, and how much advocates are needed. And I just want to, give a shout out to Steve Poneth and Paul Ann and Robert and Harry for helping us with that. And my throat is just taking a turn here, so excuse me. I'm thinking I'm over this virus, but I guess not quite yet. We also had a couple of great articles on the blog. One is Why Americans Should Embrace Aging. Wonderful article, has a lot about long-term care and how we have to do better planning. And then there was a nice article too on the city of Roseville, Minnesota, and their mission to improve life with dementia. And I was actually able to be part of their kickoff on the 23rd, which was really a lot of fun. We had standing room only in the city council chambers. We had about 20 different speakers, all highlighting coming together, and they are kicking off an educational series through the Roseville Alzheimer's and Dementia Community Action Team and the Roseville ACT program, of which I'm part of both, and have had great success with those. They've had a couple of educational programs roll out already. And so if you're interested in finding out about being more dementia friendly, you can go to this article on the Alzheimer's Speaks blog. It was posted on the 29th. It'll give you a lot of information and a lot of links as well. I want to give one last shout out to, again, some of my favorite organizations. I would encourage you to get involved in the clinical studies, and you can go to alzheimersstudies.com, where you could really make a difference in somebody's life for someone you love with dementia. Again, you can join an Alzheimer's disease clinical trial today. You can go and take a survey, and there is no insurance that is needed to participate, which is really a very, very cool thing. Go to alzheimersstudy.com for more information. And if you're interested in becoming a Purple Angel, just go to alzheimersspeaks.com, click on our About page, and then go ahead and click on the Purple Angel tab. There you'll get information on how you can be part of this program. Again, it costs no money and takes very, very little time to utilize that symbol. Let's see. Don't forget about the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation, as well as the Lewy Body and Frontal Temporal Lobe Association and the National Aphasia Association. And again, if you're here in Minnesota, check out HealthStar Home Health. Absolutely fantastic organization doing wonderful, wonderful work. I am going to go ahead and sign off for now just because I'm here, and we will talk to you next week. Have a blessed week, everybody, and we'll talk soon.
Hi, I'm Lori LeBay, and I wanted to tell you about Alzheimer's Speaks, which is another great podcast. You see, my own mother lived with dementia for 30 years, and I felt lost. Did you know every 3 seconds someone in the world is being diagnosed with dementia? Odds are it's going to hit your families too. We want to help you connect to services, products, tools, research, and stories so you can be prepared. Please subscribe to Alzheimer's Speaks on your favorite podcast platform.